Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Today is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. That's right, 03/23, 2023. It's a pretty cool set of numbers, and especially for the show tonight, because tonight we have Ronny LeBlanc with us from, obviously, Expedition Bigfoot. And we are going to do a full night of Big Feet tonight. He's an independent researcher, screenwriter, author of the critically acclaimed best-selling book Monsterland, Encounters with UFOs, Bigfoot and Orange Orbs, which details the history and connection between various phenomena, highlighting his experience and research area called Monsterland in Massachusetts. And I'm just not, Ronny, it's been a while since you've been on the show. So I'm not going to read your whole bio. I'm not going to not going to do it, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you.
It's
going to be seeing you in about a week, right? So
yeah. We'll talk about that in just a second. Ronny's website, RonnyLeBlanc.com. The links for that are below, and go and get Monsterland. I've got it. I've had it for a while. It's a great book. We've talked about it many times. But it's so great to have you back on the show. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, Bigfoot. We'll talk about Parapod in just a second. But I have said many times, Ronny, that the UFO community is pretty big, but it's not as big as the Bigfoot community. I think that the Bigfoot community is bigger for a lot of reasons. It's much bigger. But Bigfoot, for some reason, doesn't get the headlines like UFOs do. You would think it would be the opposite. And I'm going to share this little thought with you. A couple of years ago, I did, it might have been about 3 years ago, I did a drive, and I drove up to the Canadian border from Southern California, turned around and came back. And so during that drive, I would stop at different places and things, and you see a lot of stop for gas. Bigfoot T-shirts, right there. Yeah. You're driving down the road, the Bigfoot souvenir shop, the world's largest Bigfoot this, Bigfoot that. You don't see UFO shops, right?
True, very true.
Yeah, it's and everybody's got a Bigfoot story, And I remember I go to this this is a perfect example of that. So I'm at this huge place. They've got, I'm not, without exaggerating, 1,000 carved Bigfoot statues, right? Like a sea of 1,000 and everything. Bigfoot wind chimes and it's giant.
I think I know exactly where you're talking about too. This store right off the road in near Redwoods, right?
Yeah. That's it. It's huge, right? I mean, it's big parking lot, right? So anyway, I'm there and I'm talking to the manager, and I said, I go, so how long have you been here? Since my first Bigfoot sighting back in the 60s. Oh, okay. All right, cool. I said, ever listen to Coast to Coast? And I thought, yeah, I do. Oh, you're Jimmy Church, right? This is what he said. What's Coast to Coast? Right? And that right there, that shows you the Bigfoot community and its size and everything, and UFOs. It's like two different worlds. It's two different things. And it was just a real eye opener for me about the size of the Bigfoot community. It's crazy big.
It is, and I think, with UFOs just getting, like you said, all the headlines now the past 2 years now, just started heating up. I think Bigfoot's right behind it, and I do think that there is that UFO connection with Bigfoot. So I think that's kind of going to possibly bridge the gap here. We'll see what happens.
Well, okay, that's a good place to start. I'm not so sure. Okay, all right. Let's go. Let's just ruffle a few feathers, Ronnie. Let's just go there. I'm not so sure if some of the hardcore they would define them as a real Bigfoot researcher, right? I don't think they dig the UFO connection.
They don't. I've posted on different Facebook groups, specifically the BFRO, and if you post anything that is considered woo or, outside of this thing being an undiscovered primate, you get banned. Your comments get blocked, and it's unbelievable. And I've always tried to be like, open your mind. That's why you guys we're still not getting anywhere, because we're not expanding, the idea of what Bigfoot actually might be. And it could be an alien, it could be something interdimensional, human, animal, all the above.
And we're going to get into all of those subjects tonight, because I've been chasing this for a very long time. And most of the veteran listeners of this show have witnessed me flip-flop and change my mind for years. It's because I have an open mind. Right?
That's right.
And I reserve the right to flip-flop. I reserve the right to be a walking paradox. I reserve the right to be hypocritical, to be a hypocrite, because you have to have an open mind here. And so,
it's going to change.
Well, why is it my original view? This show's not about me, it's about you. But this is how people can change their minds. My original view was, in a general sense, Bigfoot was BS. Okay, that was years ago. But I had reasons for that. No body, no DNA, no this, no that.
Sure.
But
valid. But
the Patterson-Gimlin film is real. I always believe that. So now I am being hypocritical. I'm not admitting to myself if the UFO community had a piece of film like the Patterson-Gimlin film to back up their stuff, it'd be UFO case closed. Right. But, and I know you know what I'm trying to say here. So I continued in this pursuit of knowledge. And what I have found, the only thing that checks all of those boxes, the elusiveness, the lack of bodies, and all of that, maybe we are talking about something interdimensional. And I don't have a problem with that.
It's wild is people don't have a problem with that either, where I've posed that question to a conference and said, how many people believe, Bigfoot's a primate, undiscovered animal? Raise your hands. And how many people believe it's something interdimensional? Maybe that's why we don't have bones in a body. Everyone's like, that makes more logical sense to me. And it was shocking and surprising for me to hear that from people as well. So I think, and then you look at the shows, even the kids shows over the past few years, they're talking about portals. They're talking about dimensions, the multiverse. We're in those kind of quantum discussions already of where Bigfoot may be coming from. And that's what a lot of Native American tribes believe, that they're popping in and out when they want. And they've been doing so for a long time, longer than supposedly we've been here.
And in an overall sense, this is going to be a long, deep, comprehensive show tonight. But in a general sense, do you have a footing? Oh, I just said footing. Do you have a footing of where you think this is right now?
I mean, based on all the research I had done prior to writing Monsterland, I was coming at it from this is an interdimensional being. There's just too many similarities and connections to with these orbs and UFOs and the timing and these power places. So that's, I think it continues to get strengthened even through the show. Dr. Maria and Russ experiencing things that are downright paranormal, supernatural, that they don't have an explanation for, where Maria can't pick up something with her naked eye, but her thermal's picking up this huge figure, in a Buddha position with these orbs hovering over its head. And when she pulls it down, it's not there. She pulls it up, it's there. Having invisible things charging the team. And we've had these things in orbs showing up as well. And I guess the biggest thing for me has been the shadow that we captured last season, which was, in my opinion, almost like a shadow puppet that you'd make on the wall. We couldn't see this cloaked Bigfoot in front of us, but our flashlights created that shadow. And the video doesn't give it justice because my eyes could see the hair on this thing's head, conical shaped, and it moved like the Patterson Gimlin film. And what was cut out from that episode is me talking to it, telling it to reveal itself. And I thought that was interesting that was left out, because immediately after,
is it too much?
It showed itself.
Is that too woo even for TV?
I think so, but that's how it went down, and that's what happened. It understood what I was saying, because seconds later, this thing reveals itself, literally walks on stage in front of us, and we're just F-bombs left and right because we're blown away by seeing this figure walk right in front of us after all these rocks are falling. I mean, it was just an insane time.
What would happen to me if Russ punched me in the throat?
No breathing. No breathing.
Forever.
Russ is a sweetheart, but he is definitely a badass. And
he is.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy. But if I'm gonna go squatching, that's who I take with me.
Absolutely.
Well, you too. Well, both of you. I'm in good hands. I can goof off. Russ is amazing. Really nice guy, Russ Accord, and I had a chance to hang out with him. And what I really
he's funny.
You know what? He's big, and to most people, he's probably intimidating. And then you talk to him, you're like, man, this guy is funny. Cool.
He's funny. He's a teddy bear. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's big. He's a big dude. But okay, so the other part about this, though, when we get into an interdimensional thing, and this may seem left field, but I'm often asked when it comes to ghosts, why don't we have ghosts of dinosaurs, right? Why don't we have ghosts of Cro-Magnon? Why don't we have ghosts of Neanderthal? I'm thinking maybe Bigfoot is connected to something like that.
Well, what's interesting, what pops in my mind is, and we might have talked about this before when I was on, that, and maybe not, but there was a researcher that was in Monsterland, spent the day. He had found these small tree structures in this area that he was starting to assume, like, this looked like a nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was, popping around, checking out. And the first time he had found this spot, he got pushed out by something that was kind of screaming and making a lot of noise. And he was like, what sounded like an ape is how he described it. Second time, nothing. But what happened is when he went back to his car and kind of looked one last time down the trail, there was a Bigfoot that was leaning up against a tree. And he couldn't tell. First off, he was blown away. And secondly, he couldn't tell if it was looking at him or looking away. And down the trail, there was a hiker that was coming up. And the Bigfoot was looking at this hiker and then started walking into the woods. And the researcher was like, what was amazing is as it started walking away, its hand started to disappear. And it started to go up the arm until the whole body, basically almost like a liquid, took over in a sense where it went invisible and walked off, almost like a ghost or a spirit.
The the thought of that, I don't have issues with it.
Right.
And the reason, my reasons for that aren't woo. They're not. It's science. It's science that says that is possible. And you just brought up the cartoons that kids are watching today, right? Portals, interdimensional, multiverse. Right. It's all in there, man. It's like hardcore physics, theoretical physics. And think about the Avengers, right? Or Marvel and Dr. No or whatever is Doctor Strange, where all of these ideas and concepts, hard theoretical science is shown to us. Well, if science get their way, if physicists get their way, then everything that we're talking about with Bigfoot or anything else is proven by science, isn't it? It's not woo that takes me there. It's science that takes me there.
I mean, the one big thing I stress when I do talks and everything is that we can only see 0.0035 of the visual spectrum. So there's all this stuff going on around us all the time that we can't see. And so, there's a lot of things that could be residing in those domains. And when they come into our frequency, we can see them. And then when they zip out, they disappear, but they're still probably very close to us.
Why do you think Bigfoot and as you move, whatever you're bumping on your desk is coming through the microphone? Wow. Yeah, so that's it. Frozen. See, if I had Russ a cord here, I'm straight. I would never say that to Russ, actually. I would say, Russ, make all the noise you want. I kid. I'm not actually kidding. Why would Bigfoot, and she was a she, what a female Bigfoot, what did we do here? Okay, so anyway, why would she reveal herself for as long as she did? I always find that very curious, because I don't think Bigfoot is going to be seen unless they want to be seen. And
that's one of the big things, that they reveal themselves to people that they want them to. And I don't know if you picked up on, you might have seen it a couple weeks ago. A researcher from New Jersey captured a Bigfoot creature by these train tracks, this research area. And what was interesting is that when he caught wind of this thing, it wasn't looking at him, and he was able to get a clear picture. And his video camera stopped working, and as soon as it turned and was facing him, the next series of photos went blurry. And people are always bringing up that fact of how come we have blurry pictures of Bigfoot. And I think there's some theories out there, and one of them I think is kind of interesting is, if this is something interdimensional or what have you, then it could be vibrating at a higher frequency. And that's why cameras footage is coming blurry. But then you have the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is pretty clear. You can see features and the muscle striations and all this. So it's interesting. There's been a lot of stories of Bigfoot's disappearing in a flash of light, or coming out of UFOs, or popping out of portals like Dr. Matthew Johnson and others. So it's getting deeper, I think, as you kind of go down the rabbit hole with this stuff, especially with UFOs and even Bigfoot. I think that's why there's no bones, there's no body. That's why there's been such secrecy around this. You hear of forestry workers, scrubbing out footprints that hikers find, or filing away, reports. So there's groups of people that understand that these things are real and they exist. And I think there's people trying to keep them out of the limelight for a lot of different reasons.
I know that most of the audience, if not all of the audience, including myself, we all have something special that sticks out to us in the Patterson-Gimlin film that verifies things for us, right? That confirms things. What's that one thing for you in that piece of footage?
For me, I think it was seeing like in the calf muscle and seeing like just at that time, Planet of the Apes won the Academy Award for best costume design, and it was terrible. And to see something like this before, spandex was invented, that was interesting. Like that was a real being that we're seeing, and then also having the chance to meet Bob Gimlin, interview him, talk to him, hang out with him, and see that this guy hasn't changed his story in 50 years is also interesting.
For me, it was the boobs.
Yeah, just the thought of, if you're going to fake it, why would you go that far?
Why would you go that far? And you bring up Planet of the Apes. We can't forget about as well Stanley Kubrick and 2001: A Space Odyssey, where in the best makeup artist in the world at that time, the cutting edge, were brought in for Planet of the Apes. And there's that detail. The other detail is Stanley Kubrick doesn't play. His attention to detail and perfection in cinema is second to none. Many will say that 2001 is probably the greatest film ever made, let alone the greatest science fiction film, with the fakest gorillas you've ever seen in your life, right? But he did the best that he could do. And at that same time, Patterson Gimlin is doing that. To fake something? No, I don't find it possible. So yeah, for me, it was the boobs.
Yeah. And, there's also, I think they had found about a series of 3 different sets of tracks. So there was, a family group moving through there, and they followed those tracks, and then lo and behold, Patty comes in, and the horses reacted in the certain way that animals typically do around Bigfoot. So a lot of details.
Yeah. Totally. So let's swing this back to UFOs for a second. The amount of sightings that have happened where a Bigfoot sighting occurs, and then you hear the other details of the story. There were strange lights in the sky at the same time. And right. I don't think that is coincidence, or the opposite happens. You have strange lights in the sky, and then Bigfoot shows up.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Bigfoot is gone. Well, and so are the lights, right? And there's got to be a connection here, and I just don't know what it is.
For sure. And there is definitely, a connection with the orbs. I mean, for me out here, the Orange Orbs, the Foo Fighters, whatever you want to call them, seem to play a part when it comes to the Bigfoot phenomenon, because they, I talked about my Ohio experience, saw this ball of light, orange, turn into 2 eyes, it becomes a Bigfoot. So there's something with that for sure. And I don't know exactly what it is, but the interesting piece too is a lot of Bigfoot reports. We talk about the different camps and UFO researchers and Bigfoot researchers. There's the Woo camp and, the Flesh and Blood. And they have a problem with anything that's deemed paranormal. So if they had a Bigfoot experience and the witness explains, right before that, I saw this ball of light or what have you, conveniently, that's left out of that Bigfoot report, because it's just, that's not what we're talking about here. But I think that data, all that information needs to be plugged together. I mean, one idea I've been toying with over the past few years is using artificial intelligence to actually look for all those connections, those dots that we're not looking for. Look at UFO stuff, Bigfoot, celestial events, all these things, all that data, and let's look for those commonalities that would help kind of, I think, bring us to some of the truth part of here when it comes to this stuff.
There, to appear and disappear. All right, it sounds for most people too much to wrap their head around.
Right.
They may be on the fence, but you start to go into that, I think you lose a lot of people. And then I had an experience where we discovered, I know, I think I've showed you these images. I'll pull them up maybe later. So find these Bigfoot tracks in the middle of this field. And I had a bunch of my friends there, like 200 or 300 of them. I was having a Fade to Black conference. And so, but these prints get found. And the prints were 20 inches and about this deep and hard packed ground.
Wow.
And so I'm looking, we're taking pictures. I got a documentary film crew there and we're shooting and I'm freaking out. And then we back up, we found the one, and I said that maybe there's more. We found 4 and they were in the arch in the middle of this field, right? Left, right, and they were turning in this direction. But there were no prints, Ronnie, further back or further forward.
Like it just materialized, and then
yes. And so I'm standing there and I'm just trying to process this because I mean, I was really tripping out. Okay. I really was. I'm a big guy. I'm 200 pounds. I'm not denting this ground. I'm not denting it. And this stuff is this deep. I stuck my finger in pictures, right?
It's got to be something heavy. Yeah.
Right. And then so as you're trying to process this and go, okay, all right. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. Where'd it come from? And where was it going to? Or did it just right? And I know it sounds crazy.
No, there's so many stories of like a posse, having this creature cornered and then it just disappears, or the footprints, go into a field and then just stop, like something had to take it up. The Yakima tribe talks about this story that they have where this tall, hairy creature came to live with the tribe. And they had shared this with this researcher, this guy, J.W. Burns, who was teaching a lot of the tribes English and teaching them how to read and write. And they shared this information with him and said, this has been kept within our tribe for so long. But this creature, tall, hairy, glowing eyes, would speak to the tribe via telepathy, heal them when they were sick. And then at one point in time, it communicated that it was going to pass away and asked them to bring it to a particular place, which they did. And they sat and waited. And this creature passed on. And then shortly thereafter, a UFO descends from the sky, grabs the body, and takes off.
Wow.
So that could be maybe why we don't have any bodies or bones, because they're getting whisked away or something with UFOs.
I had a friend, you may know him, Steve Murillo and Alex Mistretta, and the comic book artist, Michael Loaming. They all went to the Yakima Reservation, right? Up in Washington. And they're on the reservation. They're deep into the reservation. And they're squatching, right? And they're walking around, they're shooting video, and they had a team there. And they find a bit of a cave, right? It's pretty big too in the video. Like it was probably 20 feet high at the entrance. So they go in there, kind of right there, man. Footprint, man. It's like, and you see it in the video. And they made a cast, which I held in my hand. Thing was this big, wow. and they went out in the direction that this footprint was going. They found another one and another one going up this trail, and they said that the whole time that they felt that they were being watched. That it was too fresh of a print, number one, and they're finding the other ones, but they're so isolated out there, and they just felt like they were being watched.
Oh, yeah.
Do you pick up on that vibe?
All the time. Like there's a vibrational change that happens when they're around. Like your whole body's like, nope, it wants to get out. I was just talking to a police officer earlier before the show about his experience. And he said, I've had fear. I've gone into houses where I'm going after a guy that I know is armed with a gun that could take me out. I had dread out there. Like, it came from somewhere and just inside, get the hell out of here feeling. He's like, I've never experienced that since. And he's never gone back to that spot either. So I find that fascinating, where someone's like, this hunter who's been doing this since he was a kid has this experience, and he's like, nope, I'm done. I'm not going back to that spot for whatever reason, even though they're armed. That's telling.
Yeah. You get a little cocky when you're armed. And if you get cocky when you're armed, yeah, right. That's a pretty heavy thought. You brought up forest rangers earlier, and they, let's just call them feds, because they are. All right. So we had over the last couple of years an extreme amount of forest fires. All the way from, the Canadian border all the way down to San Diego. The entire West Coast has been up in flames. Why no Bigfoot bodies then? Is there a situation? Is it possible that the Rangers could be going in and removing these bodies so they're not found?
Well, there was a rumor of one body being recovered during a forest fire in California a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, which I thought was interesting. And I heard one tonight from some military guys. The story was conveyed from a mutual friend about them. I guess their helicopter was shot down or whatnot, and they were crashed, and there were bodies in the helicopter, and there were Bigfoots that were trying to take the bodies out of the helicopter, and they were like, no one's going to believe this story if we try to explain this to them. And I've never heard this before. So I think there could definitely be some, just like UFO retrievals and things like that. There could be some bodies that have been recovered. I mean, the Smithsonian has all these giant skeletons. Some of those bones could be Sasquatch as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that forest rangers have a game plan for stuff like this? And do you think there could be body removal and covering up of the evidence of Bigfoot?
I do know of a couple of instances where reports were given of a Bigfoot sighting by a couple of forestry workers, and the supervisor pulled out a drawer with a stack of reports like this and put it in there and just said, don't speak of this again. So there might be individuals within that are trying to keep this suppressed, but
well, that's fine, and I believe that to be true, or certainly possible. But the question is why? Why would they need to cover it up?
Right. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Like out here, Massachusetts, there's no eastern mountain lion. However, 6-7 years ago, a lady hit one and killed one with her car in Connecticut, and they're still denying that they are out here. So even when we have bodies of animals that are known, classified, and those aren't even being accepted, I don't think it's that far of a stretch for them to do something like this when it comes to something that we still don't maybe understand, and maybe they don't either, just like the government with UFOs, of who's behind these things. And it's just the time that we're in right now is pretty fascinating, what's been unraveling and coming out.
In the Forest Ranger manual, John Greenwald of the Black Vault posted this page and talked about it on this show. And on this page, Ronnie, it said the government, I believe it was the Army on this page.
Yep. Army,
right?
Washington State. Yep.
Recovered Bigfoot DNA and had it tested, and the tests came out positive, and the DNA, right? And so John, armed with this information, he's a Freedom of Information Act professional. He knows how to get the stuff done. He does. So he's got the document. He's got the page number. He's got the document. He's got everything. And that's what you need for a Freedom of Information Act. Just take him right there. Take him. Don't let them do any work. Give him the page. Give him the report number. Give him this. That, and get it back. And they replied and said there was no such page or information available. But yet it's there, and it's on the Black Vault's website. What do you make of that? Obviously, you've heard the story. What do you make of that?
If Bigfoot is an alien or something interdimensional, that would explain why they're not divulging any more information about something like this, because they have been seen coming out of UFOs or seen in and around these strange lights, and just the way people have had encounters with these beings, cloaked, disappearing. I think there's something to it, and there could be just. Can you imagine if people were told, okay, Bigfoot is real, they're living in our forest at night, they're coming out, people would stop camping.
Stop doing everything.
Nature hikes would be done.
Well, and then you would have the vigilantes, right?
Yes, trying to get a body.
Yeah. I'm surprised that there's not more of that. Before we get to the break, I want to get a couple of things in. One, why does Bigfoot throw rocks? I've got friends that have shared stories with me about this, and we hear it over and over again. You mentioned it at the top of the show. It's definitely one of the central parts of any Bigfoot story, that rocks get thrown. What do you think the reason for that is?
I've had that happen to me, on the show in the redwood forest, and I was provoking because I felt like we were going by this certain area, and like I was mentioning before, like the energy, you can feel it, and I might be a little bit more sensitive than somebody else, but I definitely felt like, okay, once we get into this area, we're in their zone. And I think we're going to get some kind of response if I keep on heading down this trail. And that's what happened. Rock came flying through, go a little bit further, another rock. So I think when you're in maybe close proximity to their home base or a young one, I think that's one of their defense mechanisms where people, we had actually this past summer, we've been having activity around our new house. And there's been sightings on either side of our property. And my wife was out back on the deck when something really loud was crashing through the woods. And we live right next to Monsterland over here, and we have a state park on the other side. Literally, our driveway goes into a trail into the woods. And she started calling me to come out. And I didn't get there in time. She was talking to her sister on the phone. We have a couple of sheds, and one of these sheds is almost in the middle of our yard, a good distance. And she said a rock, like a softball, came flying out of the woods, and not like an arch, a straight, like
fastball,
major league pitcher. Yeah. And it nailed the shed, made a hole in it. Huge, loud bang. And she couldn't. So I ran out there, and Chris Duncan, who's been on our show doing remote viewing, I brought him in to do that last season. I sent him a note. I'm like, dude, I need you to dial in right now at my house and tell me what you see, because there's some craziness happening right now. And I see him responding. He's like, you're on to something, man. He goes, I'm seeing a small one throwing rocks, trying to antagonize you, and there's a bigger, like a parent that's watching. And so I'm looking in the woods trying to see this, and I'm not seeing anything. And I had gone to the Michigan UFO conference And the night I got back that morning, it was like 4 in the morning. This activity had occurred right before I left. And so when I came back, I went on the porch out in early morning, still dark, and I didn't say a word, but I mentally projected with my mind, if you're real, hit the shed right now. And then boom, like before I can even complete my second thought, a rock hit the shed, and a chill of fear went from my feet all the way through my body, like, don't F with me type message. And I was like, okay. I'm like, how the hell was that possible? I didn't, I'm just thinking that, and it responded with a rock. Asked when I asked it to do that.
No,
So that was pretty wild.
I don't think I want your opinion on this because you said you were provoking. You're not up there with a gift basket, right? You've got a different approach to this, but is there a good way to try and go squatching? If you go in and banging on trees and making a bunch of noise and talking smack,
that's something that I don't do. Traditionally everyone's tree knocks and doing that. I started to get away from that because more people are, doing that. You could be responding to a human being on some other, you guys are banging back and forth. But what I did when I had those rocks thrown at me prior to that happening, I actually was meditating for about 20 minutes to try to communicate with something to have it come closer. And I was doing it right near their kind of boundary. And then I was started to feel something, like something was kind of behind me, that sense of being watched, or the feeling and energy of something else there all of a sudden after 15 minutes. So when I started to move down that trail, that's when the rocks started coming. And it was just kind of like, all right, even though I'm trying to approach it in a little bit more gentler way, I wasn't like, come on. But there's a consciousness piece going on as well. Just like when I asked for that shadow to Bigfoot to reveal itself, and the shadow goes across the river, it was hearing me, it was responding, and it complied.
Now, I think it just makes common sense that when you go through Northern California and you go into the redwoods, most people don't understand A, how big those trees are, B, how dense the forest is, and C, how big it is, the forest. You're driving and you're looking and as a matter of fact, no human has ever walked there, right? You just know, and you see that for miles and miles and miles. You just drive, and there's just no way. It is too big, too dense. And when you're driving, it looks beautiful, and then you stop and you take a look, and these trees are 500 feet tall. Right? Oh. It's a big, giant, crazy, gnarly place. Anything could live in there, Ronnie, and never, ever be seen.
Just even, all right, so when we were in the redwoods, there's trees, I had my arms outstretched and could go around 7 times before I had the circumference of that tree.
Right.
Bark, this deep into your arm. And the other thing I found really fascinating is the size of the ferns. They're so big that you could just crouch down and you're hidden. You go behind a big fern and they're all over the place.
Right.
And there's all this, timber falling, broken down and whatnot, decomposing, but a ton of hiding spaces, even some of these root balls where some of these trees have come out. They're like little cave systems and little like pockets where something could take a nap. So we're finding tons of hiding places out there.
The idea for that, when you have something that dense and that thick, and they don't want to be seen, if humans or anything, but let's just go with humans, are in the redwoods, they know you're there.
Oh yeah.
right? They
we're
can
we're
always say,
so we're
right.
so sloppy, where it makes so much noise. And I think just even, we just think we're being quiet, and we're really not. And that's the interesting thing too, is when we're out, shooting and investigating, if there's something kind of interacting with us, typically, bears are going to smell you, they're going to take off. Something that's kind of interacting with you back and forth, throwing rocks, is not a raccoon. So there's something else out there.
Raccoons do have opposing thumbs, though.
Yeah, they do.
They do. They've got that. But when you see the size of, and it's from the middle of California all the way to Alaska, right? I mean, it is huge, and it's non-ending, and it goes all the way to Denver, right? I mean, it's just the amount of space for something to go and hang out and never be seen. I think it would be rather easy to do. And I didn't used to have that frame of mind. But until you go out there and experience it yourself, you really don't have a concept. I don't think most people do they?
No, they don't. And, we just did Alaska, and holy cow. I mean, I thought there was some, hiding spots, but man, it just goes and goes and goes. And you can feel the energy is primitive there. You can see something maybe not moving up the chain of evolution and sticking around there. That place is wild, and the amount of sightings that people have had during the daytime. We talked to a bunch of different tribes out there. Insane. Everyone has a Bigfoot story.
Now, what about tree knocks? Does Bigfoot actually do that?
Yeah, there have been. No one's ever seen one doing it, but there have been, knocks and responses. People have had communication with them back and forth.
Have you done it?
I've done it. I've gotten some interesting responses, and not necessarily like a perfect knockback, but a response that kind of was like, okay, that was, and then do it again, and then get something else. So nothing really super defined, but it has worked. There is definitely a way to communicate, and even rocks clacking too. That travels distances and way for them to kind of communicate with each other.
Well, but you're not too enthusiastic about it. It's not like you're going, yeah, man, tree knocking.
Yeah. I think it's been a little overdone.
Right.
And it again, we don't know what we're saying. 3 knocks, get the hell out. I mean, we don't know what the interpretation is yet.
Now, I've seen a lot of images of the X's, right? Trees. What's your opinion?
In my opinion, where we've encountered them have been on the trail, like a stop sign, like, okay, don't go any further now, or almost hidden. You have to be at a certain angle where all of a sudden you look up and then you see it. So something taller would notice this. And even the placement of some of these things, you have to be 10 feet tall, even put it up, unless you had a ladder out in the middle of the woods. So
what I should have explained to the audience. There has been a lot of documented sightings of trees that have been placed in the position of an X. And in some cases, some are small, lower to the ground, like Ronnie is saying. Some are huge. Some could be natural, right? Trees could blow over into that. But in a lot of these cases where they do get documented, it's a situation where these 2 trees are placed.
And the trees, will say, have no limbs on them. So they're almost like 2 chopsticks. So it's very like, and they're equally sized. It's like, okay, a human could do this, but why? And we're in areas where there aren't people milling about, and we're finding these structures. Things are twisted off, broken off. There's no saw cuts. And then finding them placed uniquely. Like we'll find something, and it might not be an X, it might be a weird structure, and then all of a sudden there's water, or something else will be. So it almost seems like a marker of some sort. And then we started toying with the idea of, could some of these, you wouldn't want to announce it to the world, but some of these could be almost like little tombstones or markers where one of them have passed, whatever. So even Dr. Jane Goodall believes that Bigfoot is smart enough that they probably know that they have to bury their own dead to survive.
Do you believe that to be true?
I think that there's definitely something going on with the telepathy piece, communication. They definitely seem to be a little bit more ahead of us on the consciousness chain. It seems just based on other people's reactions, my and experiences, and even my own encounters that I've had. Just doesn't. It's not an animal. There's something else going on. Maybe more human than alien, maybe more alien than human, but it definitely does not seem to be just a straight up ape.
Well, we do have Chewbacca.
We do.
I keep going back to that.
Hey, George Lucas, he was from Northern California, right? So that's in his mind.
There's so much symbolism and so much stuff going on in Star Wars. I'm almost tired of it because it's so obvious and in your face. But
yeah,
why have Chewbacca? Because Chewbacca's a Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot alien in Star Wars. It's there for a reason, man. And
I think the other thing too, you brought up a good point, is we've been indoctrinated with this gray alien, this imagery, like this one, reptilian, what have you, but very specific on what an alien is supposed to look like. Why can't they have hair, fur? Why can't they look like an upright ape?
I don't have any issues with it. I mean, it's almost too much after a while. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. And trying to figure out why there isn't a definitive body. One hasn't been hit by a bus. We hit deer all the time. You know, we hear all the arguments. Well, you'll never find a chimpanzee, body. Well, you know what? Maybe not, but we have. We have found chimpanzee. We have found bear corpses. We have found deer. It's not that often, but it happens, and it has never happened with Bigfoot. But yet we have the prints, we have the sightings, and there's something else that is going on preventing us. Do you think that maybe we're not supposed to know?
I think so. I think it's possible. I mean, the theory that's gaining a lot of steam too is the Nephilim, that these are fallen angels of some sort.
Sure.
That they're demonic. And I haven't experienced, aside from that fear here and there, for the most part, it seems something very magnetic. Like you want to learn. You're trying to understand what's going on here. And yeah, maybe it's one of these things that it's just supposed to send us down this loop where we're just spinning around in circles trying to figure stuff out. But I think I find it interesting. A lot of people that have had significant Bigfoot experiences have been more spiritually minded people, even more maybe raised Christian or what have you. There's a weird, and there's a correlation with UFO abductees as well with that. And whether that's just their minds are wired, like we were talking earlier about being open-minded, and so you're more susceptible to that, or sending out that frequency that they can pick up on. There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. It's like some of the biggest questions that we have. Some of the biggest, life after death. What is consciousness? UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, for instance, right? All of these spirits, entities, angels, everything is okay until you're at the edge of the cliff. And we can't get there. We can't cross that. We can't. Everything just gets fuzzy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The reality gets fuzzy. The visual gets fuzzy. The video gets fuzzy. The eyewitness part of it gets fuzzy. They phase in and out. They disappear. UFOs will literally appear in the sky. Everybody freaks out, and then it disappears in front of everybody. I've seen it, right? I've seen it. It's like it right there, right? We can get close, and then nothing.
I had a friend. I was expecting these orange orbs to show up. They usually show up around 4th of July, New Year's Eve, when we're blasting fireworks and we're looking up. People have a lot of these sightings. And there was a 4th of July ceremony in Leominster, but it was a concert, and it was starting to turn dusk, but it was still blue in the sky. And there was about 3 or 4 of these orange orbs that were coming one by one. And I had my binoculars, and I handed them to my buddy, who watched it close up. I was like, what the hell is that? And as I'm watching it in the sky and he's looking through the binoculars, it disappeared and just in front of his eyes. And he was like, what just happened? So just seeing someone react that way to seeing something vanish like that right before their eyes is like it just went behind some kind of wall.
I love it when somebody says, Ronnie, I can't wait to hear your reaction to this. When somebody says, man, why would Bigfoot just appear, hang out, and then disappear? It doesn't. That is the level of our understanding and knowledge, right? Where we can't wrap our head around it. You know why Bigfoot does it? Because he can. Because
my joke is that where he comes from, the food sucks. Yeah, so he pops in here, and
all that. Why would a UFO, travel across the universe and just show up? Because they can. It's easy. Have you ever? I use this comparison all the time. If you went back 200 years ago and told everybody that you have the ability to get on a communication device, order a pizza from 20 miles away, and have it delivered to your house in 30 minutes, they would say that's some voodoo black magic, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorcery. Right? And we do it because we can. It's easy. It's nothing. And we have to look at and try to elevate our level of understanding for something like this, because anything is possible, anything is probable. And when we're considering stuff like this, I believe it to be not only possible, but probably very, very real.
Yeah, I mean, even invisibility cloaks, which were science fiction, those are now science fact. They've created those in the lab. So,
and you remember when it was in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
And you're reading the books, 30, 40 years ago, and Frodo gets his, the elven invisibility cloak, right? And he puts it on and disappears. That was sorcery, right?
Right. Yes.
That was sorcery. And it was right there. And here it's part of our reality today.
It's wild.
So, yeah, we have to elevate. Our knowledge and how we try to understand things. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Ronny LeBlanc. I am Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023, the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person, and guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com. And the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shirka, Robert Grant, Ruben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. Yeah. Fade to Black blend. I love it. I love it. Our guest tonight, Ronny LeBlanc. And Ronny, I'm a big coffee guy, man. I love my coffee. That's it. I'm going to see you in 1 week out here for the Parapod Festival in Santa Clarita / Valencia. It's the same city. What are you going to be talking about?
I am going to be talking about Bigfoot and UFOs. So we're doing a nice little precursor here.
Yeah, and do you think it's going to be so great? And the tickets and everything, if you're in and around Los Angeles, so click on the link below and go to Parapod. I think it's parapodfilmfest.com and check it out. I'm going to MC and host, and I this is the best part of my gig. I just get to goof off. I don't present or anything. I'm just the guy up there having fun. And I just can't wait to be able to do this and to give away awards that are voted on by the community and everything else. It's going to be really cool. So, but Bigfoot and UFOs, we're also going to do a sky watch.
With Ben Hansen.
Yeah. Ben Hansen's going to be there, our good friend. And we've all known, Ben for years. He's so good at what he does. And we're going to do a little bit of ghost hunting. We're going to go up to Mentryville, and you're going to be hanging out with us, man. Are you looking forward?
Wait.
I know.
I can't wait. It's like, well, when you're talking to me earlier before the show about the ghost town and that I'm like, what? I didn't even know that existed. I'm pumped for the whole weekend. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, when it was years ago. It was probably 25 years ago. I had heard about Mentryville, and it was like a news clip, and I was like, what, a ghost town? Where? right? And I go and I checked it out, and I couldn't believe that in my neighborhood, something, it's not a movie set, right? This is not, no, this is a real ghost town, and it's right here in the valley. And so
weird.
yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And so yeah, we're going to go up there and have a really good time. So all of you, if you want to come in and hang out with Ronnie and I and Ben Hansen and the rest of the crew, we're all going to be getting together up in Mentryville on Friday, a week from tomorrow. Wow.
We're not sleeping Friday night, right?
No. Check me out on Saturday morning, and we'll see.
2 coffees.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I can't wait. So yeah, the Parapod Film Fest, it's going on. The links are below. Ronnie's going to be there. Linda Moulton Howe's going to be there. We just mentioned Ben Hansen. Billy Carson is coming out,
Awesome.
and I got a little email. I'm just going to say this. John Greenwald of the Black Vault says email. He goes, "So man, you're having an event in my neighborhood." And so he said he's going to stop by for dinner that night. So yeah. Excellent. I mean, everybody just come on out and hang out with us next Friday and Saturday right here in Southern California at the Parapod Film Festival. Tony Sweet, who is putting on this event, he's got his own network, and his radio show, Truth Be Told, is just an amazing thing that he has been doing for a very long time, and he supports this community. He has put this event together. He started talking to me about this event probably 2 years ago, and it's a lot of work to put something like this on. And Tony is that guy, and he is a part of this community. So it's going to be great. Come out, support the community, hang out with all of us. And it's next Friday, the 31st, and April 1st. A weird day to do it, too.
It is a weird day, isn't it? Like, is this real? Is this really happening?
I reached out when, I was talking to Linda Moulton Howe about this, and she goes, "Jimmy." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "It's April 1st, man. Don't play any joke. I just don't. This is real. It's April 1st. Really? Yeah. So, yeah, it's April 1st, April Fool's Day, right here in Southern California. Now, UFOs and Bigfoot, are we suggesting, and you and I have read the books, and I've had the guests on my show about this, that Bigfoot is ET, right? Maybe escaped their planet and needed a safe place and found this beautiful blue gem, and this is where they are now. Do we take things to that extreme?
It sounds doable, right? It sounds like that. Why wouldn't that be possible? I mean, if we have UFOs popping out of the oceans and waters, and they're hiding out, why couldn't there be something like that in the woods? So I definitely believe that's possible.
And what about the other part where Bigfoot is a spirit being?
I think,
spirit being.
I think of, like, we're spiritual beings, physical body. They could be, more on the spiritual side with that, because they are materializing and leaving footprints. People, we've found DNA, we've found hairs, we've found different things, and so the Native Americans believe that they are spiritual, and that spiritual could be dimensionals, interdimensional. So they pop in and out, and there's also been there was a documentary film crew a few years ago, and I don't know if this was completely vetted, but they had talked about seeing this weird bear turn in and actually shapeshift into a Bigfoot, and all these, and so there's been talks of the shape-shifting aspect of it. So Bigfoot, that could be one of its forms, one of its physical forms when it's on this plane, is appearing as that. Because people are also experiencing poltergeist, shadow people activity after Bigfoot encounters. I think it was Scott Carpenter, who's a researcher out in Tennessee, stopped doing the research because stuff was coming into his house. His neighbors were having things looking in their windows, calling the police, and he's like, this is my fault. So it gets into a place where it goes beyond this thing being just an animal. When you have the paranormal side of things starting to come into play, then that kind of gets you to get your mind going in that other direction. Well, this might be something else here. This might be alien, interdimensional, because it's seemingly keeping up with that facade.
I had it was about 5 years ago. I'm not going to reveal the who, but I get this email that says basically that they have video of a portal, a ring opening up in a living room, and Bigfoot steps out on camera. Right. And I said, okay, send it to me. No, you have to pay for it. I said, what? And so this email exchange went back and forth. I said, I don't pay for anything. And if this is what you say it is, show it to me. I don't have to show it to anybody else. I just want to see if it's real.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll talk about it. But I'm not paying for anything. Well, because, I got a movie coming, I've got this, and I've got, this. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. But if this was 5 years ago, the footage is real, good luck to you. I hope you make a great movie. Right. Okay. Never heard anything. That footage never appeared. It's not in. And when you hear something like that,
yeah.
What goes through your mind? Do you believe that this footage does exist? Or is there something else involved, or it's just a bunch of BS?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people with an ulterior motive to generate revenue, right? To make some money off of something that may or may not exist, that they have or say they have. And I definitely find that most people are pretty genuine with sharing their encounter. But when someone starts to demand money, like, okay, red flag. And they typically never really produce anything. I did see some pretty amazing footage in Maine last summer from the Maine Bigfoot Society. It was taken from about a mile away with a telephoto, and it was a broad daylight, dad Bigfoot, mom Bigfoot, and a baby Bigfoot running behind them. And I watched it like 10 times. I was like, doesn't have that super clarity, but just something that was like, wow. And I think there is some footage like that. I think people have something that maybe they're worried about the government grabbing it or what have you. But I think there is some. I heard of tonight another individual showing his friend trail cam footage from Pennsylvania from like 2015. Deer, bear, deer, Bigfoot. What? And the thing is right there. So people have them. They're just afraid to share it.
Now, I'm sure you know Duke Sullivan. You know Duke?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Duke is an amazing Bigfoot researcher, and he's probably listening right now. He's just absolutely. I love that.
Duke.
Yeah, Duke is World Bigfoot Radio. If you ever get a chance to go and check him out, I love Duke. Duke telepathy, which you've brought up a few times. Duke believes that there is some heavy communication that is telepathic, that they are fully intelligent. They do know how to communicate. They do communicate with telepathy across great distances, by the way. It's not like you have to be in the same room. We're talking about miles in some cases. And that there are some pretty sensitive humans out there that are telepathic, mediums too, if you will, those with the gift that can communicate and that understand exactly what they are trying to say. I'm kind of with Duke on this. Now, you just said that you also have that you're sensitive to this in some areas too as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that that is the case?
It is. You know, what's interesting is every psychic medium that's like Dr. Rebecca Foster, very similar. We've had experiences together where we, seen this stuff happen, and she got a telepathic message from this one that was saying it was going to run in front of us. Get ready. And she was like, get ready. It's going to move. And I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, it just told me. I'm like, what? And it did it. And it ran right in front of us. And so I think the more I talk to some of these psychic mediums and empaths, or they're all kind of pointing in that same direction. They're all like, yeah, it is. Bigfoot is interdimensional. It is something that can pop in and out, and it can communicate. It can do this. It can do that. Dr. Foster was talking about being in her cabin in a dream state in Ohio, right after we had this Bigfoot experience, and she was getting almost like a camera feed from its eyes as it was approaching her window of the cabin. And she was like, oh crap, they can do that stuff too. So they definitely seem to have some abilities that are beyond our grasp.
What about, I wanted to show you this. Okay. I just for grins, I want your, I just want your thought on this. Okay. So these are the prints that we found. I didn't find
from your event? From your event?
Okay. So I didn't find them. These four young men did. Okay. And so this is me. I'm sure you know Jason Quitt, and there he is. He's filmed. And so I don't know who took this picture, but anyway, so this is Fader 1, Fader 2, this is Phoenix, and this is Jax. I've known these four. They're all men now, right? They're all grown up. But what's really fascinating, you see Jax here. He's probably 8 years old, 9. I think he just turned 18. And watching this. So anyway, Phoenix here, he comes up to me and says, hey, Jimmy, do you want to see a Bigfoot print? I was like, no. How far do I? Where is it? Because these four were running around, for 2-3 days in the woods, right? And they're doing boy things. I'm not about to go on a 3-mile hike to go and see a Bigfoot print. And so I said, no, I'm not interested. Well, it turned out it was closed. So anyway, I walked over. When I saw this thing, I truly freaked out. I lost my mind. And so here's okay. So that's the heel.
I can definitely see the toes. Yeah.
The toe. Look at the arch. Look at the arch. And that thing is this big, man. Let me get this. It's like this.
Wow.
Right? And you can see how deep it is.
Yep.
And I did. I lost my mind. And to see something like this in this grass, and it's hard packed. Let me pop up another. This is a second print. This isn't the same one.
And you said there were what, like four prints that you found?
4 prints in an arch, and they were they were like 6 feet in between, left, right.
So
left.
That's a big thing. Like the ones that we found, there was a 6-foot stride between each of those steps. So that's so difficult for us to even try to.
I fell over trying to do it. I did. I really did. When you try to take that kind of a step, and I got halfway there, people think, a 3 or 4 foot stride, that's a long. Go and try to do it,
and to make that depth impression on top of it, like to do that stride and to do that. I mean, that's dang.
Check that out. Look at that. Look at the size of this thing. Wow. And that's the second print. And again, you see the arch, right? You see the heel. Look at the big toe. And man, these guys, man, Can you imagine the adventure that I mean, they will never forget it.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
so I don't know if I have any more.
so
No,
cool.
that's it. That's all I have. But yeah, right.
Let me ask you this: like when you had your event, was there any strange lights or anything that happened prior or after that?
Yeah, we had some sightings. Now that particular so when let me back okay, so let me pull this up again. Let me back this up. Okay. So here, let me pull this back up. Okay, so the footprint is going in this direction. Okay, so I'm like, let's say I'm pointing at the big toe. The heel is over here. And you see where my feet are? And that's when I backed up because we haven't marked off everything yet. This was at the beginning when this picture was taken. And when I saw this, I went, wait a minute. There's got to be more prints. I said, everybody just back up. We're probably standing on them. So we started, and that's when, well, here's another one. Here's another one. Okay, so the arch went this way. So the second print is behind me. I don't even know it yet, right? But it's like back here. And then there's another one over here, right, going in an arch. And then the other one was right behind Jason's feet. We didn't know it yet, right? Do you see where my arrow is? My cursor. So there's
behind him.
Yeah, there's a print here. There's this one here. Then there's another one here, and there's another one here. We found 4 that were going in an arch.
And then that's it. Nothing before or after.
We scoured. Are you kidding me? We had 50 people out there, right? Everybody in a line looking for more prints. And we didn't. And the way that it arched over towards this RV that's back here, the guy whose RV that was, he goes, dude, man, those prints are going straight to my RV. And he just kind of like, what? But nobody is making dents in the ground with their feet. No. But this thing left, and so the other parts, I want to ask you about this because for me, I think it's a really big point to make here. If you're going to wear Bigfoot clown feet and go and hoax this, you got to have weight too.
Right. The biggest thing, like you said, you're 200 pounds and you can't even push that down. Some of these tracks, 3.5 inches deep, that's going to be something 500 pounds or more to really do that. And on top of that, to be running and leaving a stride or what have you, that's a big creature.
Yeah, somebody just said, how far are the prints apart? I've got a bunch more photographs. I just don't have them in this folder. They're somewhere else. I'm not going to search for them on my computer. But I'm 6 foot tall. I laid down in between the tracks. And we took pictures. We took pictures of that too. So just to give you an idea, the prints themselves, again, I keep holding my hands up. I think we measured them at 20 inches. Wow. You saw that $20 bill, right?
Yeah.
And so, and it would be like 3 $20 bills is my guess. How long is a dollar bill? What, 8 inches? It's not 6. It's not 6. It's got to be probably 8. So what's 3? That's 24 inches. So I think we measured them to be about 20 inches and about 6 feet apart. And that was, okay, so you've done this a lot. And when you see 2 prints that far apart, like you said, a human with that kind of stride, you can't do it. You fall over. But you kind of back up and you visualize where the prints are, and then the legs coming down, and then the like, holy crap, wait a minute.
Right.
That does start to make sense on how the impression could be made. But a human wearing clown feet isn't going to do that, are they?
No. And if you see, a lot of tracks too, Bigfoot tracks, they're like they follow each other in a line. If you try to run like that, like you said, you tripped, you fell over, that's what's going to happen. If you try to recreate that straight line in a 6 foot stride, I mean, that thing has to be hoofing it.
Yeah. I had to jump to make that stride. I did. We were all doing it, and Jason Quitt, who's like 6'6", 6'4", you know, he's a big, tall, skinny, lanky guy. He was just like me. I thought that he could match that stride. He was about halfway there. You know, I have a yardstick over here, and for everybody out there that's just a little bit skeptical, put down a yardstick, put your toe at one end, and then step to the end of it. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah.
It's a long.
You'll be sore in the morning.
It's a long step, man. It's a long step. Now here's the other part. I just showed you these images. There were no other prints there. And
that's weird.
There were no other prints after that. And it would indicate to me that either something, you know, demolecularized, right, and just appeared, or dropped out of the sky, and then repeated the process at the end. But there was no rain, right? There was nothing there to soften this, you know, to turn it into mud. Or we would see footprints all over the place because people were walking around all week long, right? And none of that existed out there. But the impressions that we were looking at look fresh, like they were done that overnight.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, you have a gathering of the minds, right? You're doing your event and you're talking about this stuff, UFOs, Bigfoot, paranormal. I think that would attract something like that to see what's going on, right?
I agree with that. Yeah, and you know why? I'll tell you why. Because I sat after that. I had to go off by myself. I just had to sit and collect my thoughts
and just process that.
I really did. I mean, I was just like, what? and whoever wanted to would definitely pick up on my vibe, right? Like they just gave me a little gift, right? They gave me a little gift, and they knew it, but I was stunned. It was like an ice pick in the forehead. I don't even. Somebody's asking me where. This was up in Washington near the Yakima Indian Reservation. So that's
there you go.
Yeah, and there were UFOs connected to that as well. What about? I wanted to ask you about this. Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah,
that's got both, right? That we've got.
There was an orange orb that they had witnessed flying around
3 days. 3 days before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Dyatlov Pass was a Bigfoot gone wrong?
It's curious. You know, it's an interesting story. There definitely seems to be some strangeness going on, and if it is, it's definitely one of those cases, almost like Ape Canyon, where there's a Bigfoot behaving badly.
Where's that?
What's that?
Ape Canyon.
Ape Canyon is in Oregon, and that's when in 1924 a group of miners supposedly had shot one of these Bigfoot, and later that night their cabin was attacked. Like they were jumping on the roof and they were attacking, and they left all their mining equipment. So that's one of the biggest Bigfoot signs of aggression type stories over the past few hundred years, because we're always hearing, oh, they're good, they're not trying to hurt you, throwing rocks, they never hit you. But that's one of those stories where there's some, again, if they had killed one of their own, you could expect that to happen from anybody. But
whenever I want to get a laugh, right? When I want to get a guaranteed laugh and get the crowd to laugh, I'll do this to you on Saturday when I introduce you. When I want to get the, I'll say, you know what? All these Bigfoot shows, I know how they're all going to end. right? And everybody laugh. Look, you're laughing, right? And we all get that. Two questions. Why do you think that is, that we never get a good ending? The season finale, I can tell you what the season finale, I can tell you how it's going to end. But the other part of it is, if you guys did get this shot, how would you publicize it? Would it be a season finale? Would you have Bigfoot live on Fox television? You know, what would you do?
You know, I find it interesting. Like, I would immediately, I would do a press, like some kind of a press release, because nobody believes it. You know what I mean? Like, they'd be like, well, if you really found it, we would have heard it by now before episode whatever. So, and for us, we've talked about this internally, just like, if, you know, we've been compiling some pretty incredible evidence, and we're having that stacked up. It's kind of like undeniable, but to have something incredible for us to get some amazing footage, like a Patterson Gimlin type thing, and Russ captured something pretty amazing standing up and walking away. You know, people are going to be, I think, a little skeptical about that, and so I think you'd have to really treat it like, we captured this while we're filming right now. Here it is. I would get that out to the public, because people need to see that. Otherwise, it just won't be accepted. And we've run into that, where we've captured some great evidence that people are like, but it's like, no, we were like, that shadow, that cloaking that we captured on video. I could quit the show right now. I'd be so stoked that we got that, because that, for me, just kind of showcases the other side of Sasquatch, that they can do these things.
Well, okay. Now you avoided the first question, though, like a good politician. How do you respond to people like me that say, you know, I know how these shows end. It's, you know, it's like Oak Island, and it's the, you know, I know the ending of these shows. How do you respond to that?
I think Expedition Bigfoot's already been proving different than what other shows have done.
People love the show. They've really responded.
Yeah, you know, we're bringing we have a real scientist out there, a real primatologist. We're bringing real technology. We're bringing real know-how. We're trying to pull it all together, and I think that we're producing some pretty amazing results. And if everyone expects it's going to end the same way, I'd say keep on watching. We might surprise you.
And again, I'm not a loudmouth DJ that's here to cause controversy or anything, but there has been, and we don't have to name names, but there's been some pretty incredible Bigfoot close-up stuff that has happened. And I have looked at the high-res images, and it's pretty damn convincing. It's pretty awesome, right? And it looks to me to be very hard to fake, but it's also too good to be true. Again, I'm not here to poo-poo, but when you look at the same images, you know what I'm talking about. When you look at those images, how do you respond? Is it the same as myself and others, that it's just too good?
Yeah, I think we have this. It's either so blurry, or it's too good and clear to be true. There's no like middle ground, and everyone wants that clear imagery, the video. They want that, but when we get something good, they're like, no, CGI. That's CGI.
And the okay, that's other. What's your response, though?
I kind of I try to feel, you know, as I'm watching some of this, I usually get an instant reaction right away the first time around. You know, it's either like, nope. I've rarely have I seen something where I've watched, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then, nah, it's always been the other way around, where see it kind of like, watch it again. I'm like, nah, I'm just not buying it. But if I watch something like the footage up in Maine and seeing that, I'm like, okay, this is legit. Like, this is unbelievable. So when you see that stuff, we need more of it. I think there's, like I said before, I think there's a lot of people that have some of this footage, trail cam footage, things like that, they just need to get out there, share it.
One of my close friends, who is also a troublemaker, just posted this question. I'm going to pop it up here in a second for you. But he's awesome, and he's been a guest at my house, and that's a very rare thing.
Wow.
But he also owns a really cool restaurant chain. So if you respond to this and you're good, I can promise you a really cool gift basket. Okay. All right. So here it is. It's from Ken Priest. And Ken is amazing, and he's laughing right now. But he says, I want to hear Ronnie's scariest Bigfoot story. Now, think before you respond to this, because this will dictate the size of the gift basket.
Oh, okay. I mean, personally, it was my first experience. Imagine you're 11 years old, alone in the forest, and you basically feel the ground shaking by something stomping in front of you. This was in Monsterland in Leominster, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I was meeting some friends that were all riding our bikes in Monsterland, and I went down this trail, and this is, something just started moving through the forest, and I'm waiting for a moose to appear on the trail, and nothing comes out. And then it continues on and pushing trees, and I'm like, so I experienced that cloaking first, at 11 years old, and not having any understanding. I did not think Bigfoot, did not even go there, but my mind was like, what is going on? And I took off. And that was one of those moments where, if it wanted to, rip me to shreds, never be found again. And it was something big and that I couldn't see. And that was part of the scariest thing, where I knew there was something there. I could feel it. And the fact that I couldn't see it was terrifying.
Were you with friends?
By myself. Yep. Solo.
By yourself. I love that, except you're 11 years old. So you could.
I would sleep with the covers over my head and make a hole, like I was scared. And this, I had that moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to go down the trail by myself and see. And when that happened, again, it just kind of put it like, you are like this in this big world. There's some scary things out there. And it just kind of, I think, set me off that curiosity train where I was like, I need to find out what the hell that was. I need to find out what is going on.
Why is it when you're by yourself, it's a million times as scary, right? If you had friends with you, it wouldn't have affected you the same way. Look, I'm a pretty rough and tumble guy, right? I don't take crap. I may be nice most of the time and sensitive and caring, but I also don't give a crap, and I'm pretty tough. All right. So,
and you'll say it.
I'll say it. So I'm alone in my house. This is like 3 months ago. This big ass house, man. And I so around the corner, there's a hallway here, and then there's a longer hallway that goes back, and there's a bathroom back there I have a music studio back there. There's a bathroom, and the bathroom door is angled in this hallway. It's weird to explain, but at the end of the hallway is a double wide doors that go into the studio, and those double wide doors are both open. Okay. But it's dark down there. It's dark at the end of that hallway. And I'm walking down the hallway in the dark, and I got to make a left-hand turn to go into the bathroom. And so as I do that, I angle it. I turn on the bathroom light, which now has a mirror. I need you to, this has got to be a bona fide up. There's a mirror that you look into, and you see the double doors, right? In the room. Okay. All right. So I go in the bathroom, turn on the light, and I see in the mirror a frigging shadow walk through the room
no way.
behind me, dude. And I go, right. And man, and I swear to you, when I go down that hallway now,
You're always looking.
No, the light is on. I turn on that light, day or night. It does not matter, man. Day or big, rough and tumble Jimmy Church cannot walk down a hallway without turning. It could be 12 noon. And
Have you seen it again? Have you seen it since that time?
Dude, I talk to it all the time, though. I do. Thank you for not appearing tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Man, but yeah, I jumped. I literally jumped out of my skin. And now, if somebody would have been here, it might have been different, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're alone, dude, you're mine. You're mine.
And I think that is necessary sometimes for these things to almost show themselves, because like so many times where like you're saying, you're with your friends, whatever, but if you're by yourself, all of a sudden something happens and you're like, all right, nobody else is around, this thing just fell down, or there was a knock, or what have you, that your mind goes whack.
Did you and I dress alike tonight? It's
right? Look at
kind of throwing me off. Kind of throwing me off. Now I need some squatching advice, because I've got you've seen I've got a really nice Jeep, and I'm about to equip it one step further. Oh, I got a really cool Bigfoot tire cover that I'm driving around my town. I've got to.
Have you seen Russ's truck?
No, I haven't.
It's enormous. It's like a tank. It's
the truck Russ.
Yes. And he always jokes it's the big car thing, but
hold on, let me see if I can find it.
It's enormous. He would be the guy to ask on that, because he definitely has his toys. He definitely loves to bring a lot of fun stuff.
Oh, holy crap. Okay.
You're right. He joked he was going to get a trailer and then like a helicopter in the upcoming seasons, all white and black to match the same thing.
Man, I'm looking at the team shot of the four of you, right? And Russ's arm is bigger than everybody's head. In the shot. No, but what I'm asking, so I'm getting a teardrop trailer, right? A small.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I don't want anything big. I want to be able to go and go. What's the advice though? If I'm going to go squatching, do I do it alone? Do I bring somebody with me? And that's the first question, because I'm going to get to the third one here. Do you squatch alone, or do you bring somebody with you?
I think both are great, because one, you got to kind of face your fears and being out there solo and kind of deal with that. And if you want to have that experience, that would probably be the time it would happen. And then having somebody with you is always great, so that way you have someone that can corroborate your story. Like that you're experiencing at the same time. It's like a lot more valid, I think, for your own sanity to go, okay, I'm not the only one that saw this,
Right.
So I think both of those, and it might be that, start with a friend and get that going first.
What do you think Bigfoot would appreciate more? Somebody alone?
Solo.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
So you need brass cojones though to do that.
Yeah, because I think it's almost like this enlightenment kind of stage. Like you need to kind of like do this. It's almost like an initiation. And I find it also interesting that Bigfoot shows up in the dream world. So shamans are interacting with them, and So they are definitely there's something going on with the dream world, the consciousness, and I think just that solo experience is could be something pretty incredible. You heard about what happened to Les Stroud when he was by himself,
I did.
and he getting that telepathy, and then he's like, I'm not sticking around for this. Like, he had a chance to see what they look like, and he was like, nope, I'm leaving.
Yeah. I love Les. Okay. I'm solo. We're going to go with that first. I have no issues with that. Do I arm myself? Not necessarily from Bigfoot, but also, you've got, if you're alone, you've got mountain lions and bears and other things to consider too as well. A baseball bat? I don't think a five.
I mean, unless you're sleeping out under the stars with no tent, a gun might be a good thing. But if you're in the teardrop, you might be okay without anything. We're out there up until Alaska. We haven't had any guns with us.
Right.
It's been a little unnerving because I've had my license to carry since I was 16, so I feel comfortable having a gun. But this time around with Alaska, we had bear guards because the threat level is definitely up 10 notches up there. But I think there's theories that Bigfoot can pick up if you have a weapon.
That's right. That's why I'm saying that.
So, yes.
So, now, I think a good defense, if you're going to do something, feel secure. A good 4D mag light is a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
Which I have right next to my bed, by the way.
You need extra batteries. Well, the other thing too, and if you're going to encounter, like, we've had our equipment malfunction, flashlights, full bat just shutting down.
Oh, I'm talking
that's terrifying.
I'm talking about the mag light for a little attitude adjustment.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that's good for. Oh, forget that. I've got other flashlights that see this right here?
Yes.
That's one battery on the inside of that. It's rechargeable, and this thing is insane. So no, I don't need a mag light for a light. I've got these. The mag light is there for defense. Yeah, a club. Literally a club. Okay, so now I'm out there alone. Day or night?
Nighttime, baby.
Nighttime is where it's at. Why?
That's when they seem to be coming out, or when they're out and about. That's when most sightings happen. They do happen during the day, a lot, but they seem to have that cover of darkness for them to get closer and use that to maneuver. And quite frankly, we're terrible in the dark. We're clumsy. We can't see crap, and so they have the advantage when it comes to that.
Duke Sullivan, and I love Duke. You need to check out Duke. You and Duke.
Yeah, sure.
He's great. He says they have night vision, like literally night vision.
Yeah, I think so. Like their eyes, seeing that glowing. People have talked about its reflection, and I think it's almost like this bioluminescence, this ability to actually, just seeing that in Ohio, there was a light coming out like a flashlight, and I do think that they can see. Probably night vision. I think that's pretty accurate, or maybe even like a thermal type vision like Predator. But they seem to have the upper hand, and that whole time frame there.
Now, and what location? Where's the best place? You've mentioned the Pacific Northwest, and that's where most of the sightings are.
Yeah.
Is that where you would go if you were going to go squatching solo?
Olympic Peninsula is pretty insane. Washington State, Oregon. But there's also, like, Ohio is off the charts. Pennsylvania, Maine, Tennessee. Like, you could just go like this with a map and probably find a hot spot. But Pacific Northwest for sure. I think the habitat there is prime, and there's just a lot of sightings ongoing. But yeah, any that's closer for you. I think Northern California would be great too.
What would you look for? I am a little confused about the lack of. It's one thing to have a lack of a body, but we haven't found a Bigfoot apartment, right? A bed, a couple
Well,
of
we
beds.
have discovered we found nests. We found 2 nests in Washington State. So they do kind of, imitate primate behavior in that sense, where they're making structures.
Right.
The other thing is too, we're starting to look a little bit more up because we're always looking down on the ground, and we're getting people watching the show now. Ronnie, something shimmied across a branch, like, and, above you, and you didn't see it. Like, they're catching things. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So now, again, so let's paint the picture here. I'm solo. I'm in Washington State. I'm at night, and I've got my Maglite Club. Okay, so and I've got my night vision. I've got some video apparatus with me, cell phone or what have you. Right. So now I'm out, and I'm walking through, and I find a nest. Do I walk away from that, or do I hang out?
There's a good chance that you'll probably see something come back to that nest. It's always tough too to find evidence at night, because it's like you don't know of what you could be stepping into or
that's my
messing
point.
up. So it's
Right.
like, okay, I'm coming back here tomorrow, but I would probably like hang out and see what might show up there, because something's bedding down.
And now, what about back at my campsite? Do I
You
leave?
need a guitar.
Yeah, right.
Seriously,
I was going,
dude.
right?
Jimmy, you just strumming and playing like acoustic, whatever. You're gonna bring. They're curious, and they do like music. They're curious about drumming. People have talked about that. A lot of stories where people around a campfire singing, and all of a sudden they see a silhouette by the trees watching them. So that would be a way to bring it in.
Everything but Stairway to Heaven. They don't like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Stairway to Heaven.
No Stairway to Heaven.
No Stairway to Heaven. But yeah, I've thought. I mean, if you are going to show a positive vibe, bust out an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And show that it's definitely non-aggressive. And second, they must be curious about that. I would think that you don't want to play EDM music on your car stereo. No, that's not gonna work. But an acoustic guitar around the campfire. What about leaving gifts? Should I leave a gift after I go to bed?
Well, if you know that say you discovered a nest, that would be a place to leave a gift. Significant place where that they're gonna see that. Because you could leave something out, and you could have a crow could pick it up, or
raccoon,
animal brush. Yeah, something picks it up and like, oh, that was a Bigfoot, and that's not always the case. But if you found, like, say, a tree structure or something significant where you go, okay, this looks like something they would do, then placing something there where they would obviously see that. And I've had, here's the other strange thing, is I've had marbles just appear gifted after I asked to receive them.
Real?
Yeah. So I talked to Mike Patterson, who's been pretty controversial. He's recorded supposedly Bigfoot talking, saying his name, and I interviewed him for like hour and a half, and totally, seemed legitimate. And I asked him about, he has a mason jar of marbles that he was getting from this Nefertia, this Bigfoot that was giving him marbles. I'm like, okay, how am I getting these? He said, go out in the woods by yourself, throw out your intentions that you want to receive, marbles, and wait. And I got 3 marbles in like a week span of time.
Does that kind of freak you out? Or is it just a really good feeling? But knowing
it's pretty awesome, because it's like you then kind of go, okay, if this is really happening, there's something else going on outside of our life. You know what I mean? Like there's something or someone kind of orchestrating things. And I literally had a marble appear that wasn't there, turn, and then it's there. And, you know, day later, go to my dad's house to help him move something, and he's walking up through the door jam. He's like, "Watch out! There's a marble right there." I don't know where I'm like, "What the hell?"
Oh man, I never.
Yeah, and then my wife seeing one. You know, we're outside with we're doing a cookout, and I told her about all these things happening with the marbles, and she's like, "Okay." Looks down, nothing there. Looks down, there's an orange marble, just appears. And I thought, what's the significance of the marbles? Right? If that's the gift, what's the significance? So you start thinking about the orbs. So maybe that's what they're trying to tell us. Maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and it's also simple. You know,
Right.
it's just the symbol of you know, the giving of a gift. Before I let you go, I got to show you this, because we're going to take this to the next level. Ain't that pretty personal? Well, yes, because I'm not talking about food.
I'm trying to get its attention here, right?
Yeah. I'm not talking about food. If you leave a Twinkie, if you leave a candy bar, if you leave an apple, any animal's going to come and get that.
Right.
I'm not talking about food necessarily. No, I'm talking
quartz,
about
crystal, something shiny. You know, researchers have gotten back kids' toys that were found in the woods that were, you know, like given back as a gift from Bigfoot. So
it's a great.
I find that amazing.
Oh, something like a Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
A mountain lion's not going to come and take this and walk away with it, but
No.
Bigfoot would, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, I like that idea. I like the toy idea. One last question. So
Yeah.
I'm back at my campsite. Do I cook food?
Yes.
Smell.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You have to worry about other animals when you do that too, especially bacon. You'll get the whole forest coming in, but I've tried it. It's a little terrifying.
And other campers too, as well. But
yes.
Yeah, cooking food is a good idea.
Yeah. You're trying to bring in that curiosity. And I think if you have the great thing too now with the technology, having like be able to pull out, you know, a thermal and be able to scan every now and then, and just kind of put your mind at ease that there's nothing bear kind of making its way over to you, or a mountain lion. So having something like that too is always a good tool to have.
I'm excited about this. I'm going to do something here very soon, and I'll keep everybody posted. But yeah, I'm ready. I just want to go out and do it. Ronny, I'm going to see you in a week. You've got
brother.
You got RonnyLeBlanc.com. Can everybody still get Monsterland?
They can, yeah. First book and the second book's available as well on Amazon. And we're waiting with bated breath for the season 4 release date of Expedition Bigfoot. So that's hopefully coming soon. We'll be hearing about that.
Is it already in the can?
Yeah. It's already done. Yep.
Okay. I hate that anticipation.
I know. It's the worst.
Man, when you figure out the secret of figuring out a network and decision making, please get back to me on that, would you? It's one of the
no chance.
That's a bigger mystery than Bigfoot, man.
There you go.
Ronny LeBlanc, thank you so much, Ronny. Safe travels out here. We'll see you in
Thank you, sir.
in 7 days.
I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing.
Thank
you, brother.
Ronny LeBlanc. Thank you so much, Ronny. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night we are doing a very special show. Tomorrow night, Linda Moulton Howe is here. We're going to celebrate with Linda because in a week she is going to be getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's the Media Legend Award at the Parapod Festival. Tomorrow night we're going to celebrate with Linda for all of you that won't be coming out to Parapod. All right, so we're going to do that tomorrow night. 2 hours 2 hours with Linda Moulton Howe. All of that tomorrow. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll see everybody tomorrow night with Linda Moulton Howe. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. Go Backley Tappy.